So, Tyler.
Yes.
You made me watch this movie.
I did make you watch this movie.
Yeah.
You say that like it was a punishment.
Well, we'll get there. But I decided that since you did, we haven't done a quiz in quite a long time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So it's a quiz I'm going to suck at, I take it.
No. It's not like a trivia quiz because then you would fail miserably. I thought about doing that, but no. This is to find out which Snatch character you are.
Okay.
So I already took the quiz. Did you want to guess who I was?
Turkish?
No, I was Avi. Apparently, I am a businessman according to the quiz. Yeah. So who knew? Anyways, so do you want to take the quiz?
I do, actually.
Okay. So what is your age?
33.
Okay, so 31 to 40, yeah?
Yeah.
You are male, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to make sure, I wasn't confused. How would you kill someone? Your choices are with a .50 Desert Eagle, bust a cap in his ass, with one punch, or feed him to the pigs.
Oh, 50 cal.
Okay. How tough are you? It's TUFF, if that makes a difference.
Okay.
Can take 6 shots to the chest. I have a big posse. I'm a crazy Russian bullet dodger. Or can take someone out with one punch.
I mean, I don't think I could take 6 shots, so I'm going to go with one punch because that's the only one that I'm not Russian either.
So what you're trying to say is you could take me out with one punch.
Well, yeah, but that is a whole different horrible conversation. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. How much do you gamble? None, some, a lot. I go crazy.
Some. I gamble occasionally, but it's not anything.
Is this something we need to take offline, or, I mean...
Well, no. I mean, I went to the casinos with you that one time, but...
When I was in the car?
Yeah.
We really went hard.
Oh, yeah. It was
Earth go hard.
It was like 20 minutes, and I maybe broke even or lost $20.
Yeah, probably lost $20, let's be honest. Okay, what's your personality like? Play it cool, crazy Russian, feed him to the pig, all business, no stupidity. .50 Desert Eagle is the best gun ever? Or Viva Las Vegas?
I think it's the cool.
Play it cool?
Yeah,
okay.
Play cool.
How many fingers do you have? 5 or 4?
5.
Oh, really? I didn't know. Are you a gangster? Yes or no?
No.
No. Do you like gypsies? Yes, no, don't care.
Don't care.
What would you carry with you? A gun? A briefcase change your arm with diamonds in it? Feed him to the pigs? Where's Frankie? I'm a crazy Russian or .50 Desert Eagle?
A gun.
Okay.
Not necessarily 50 cal.
Who's your favorite character? Bullet Tooth Tony, Boris the Blade, Mickey, Turkish, Tommy, Frankie Four Fingers.
Oh, it's definitely Mickey.
And the last one. Do you like boxing? Yes, no, don't care.
I'm indifferent. Don't care, really.
All right. Submitting answers now. You are Mickey. You're Mickey, the gypsy boxing champion. You can take someone down with one punch, but you're a bad listener. You make plans of your own over someone else's plans, and nobody can understand a single thing you say. It's accurate. You mumble, so nobody can understand a single thing you say, and you don't listen because you're on TikTok too much.
Oh, my God.
That was a fun quiz. I really had a good time with that.
That's so great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm Shay.
This is Cinematically Correct, getting back on the rails a little bit.
Yes, and what movie was this?
This is my choice, which was Snatch, which is a Guy Ritchie film.
It is.
And
right.
I've found that I'm not the best judge of what Shay will either like or hate.
I am an enigma.
Wrapped in a question mark.
Yeah.
Inside a puzzle box.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, beer?
Yeah, so, I tried to do better this week, but you vetoed some choices, so...
I did. So, you got me Diamonds Are Forever, Hazy Pale Ale.
And in fairness, I picked this beer before I had seen the movie,
yeah.
So I had to go off of tips that Tyler gave me without wanting to give away too much of the movie.
Yes.
So I was very limited in what I could pick, so just to be fair.
It's brewed by 3 Stars Brewing in Washington, D.C., actually. So let's see.
Satisfying. One day you're going to do like an ASMR episode of beer opening.
That's actually not bad. It's a hoppy ale, but it's not like a Christmas tree awful.
Okay, so it's better than the last few?
It's going the right direction. I'll give it a 3.5.
I would have been out of 4 if you didn't veto my other choices.
Oh, let it go. So
don't we have one that you vetoed in the fridge right now?
Basically.
Yeah, so fair. I'm just saying, guys, I do try. He just doesn't like me.
It's Boys in the Hood is the other choice.
Yeah, because you wanted a sour.
Yeah.
And I picked a sour. And you said, nah, Diamonds Are Forever is really closer to the film. So, anyways. So, do you have a brief synopsis?
brief synopsis.
Brief synopsis. It's a bunch of British gangsters and criminals, and a story about all of their interconnected pathways through life related to a diamond and boxing.
Basically.
And
it's basically about the path of a diamond that starts off going in one direction, makes a bunch of detours, and ends up exactly where it was meant to go in the first place.
And you also learn a story of don't mess with gypsies.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. That's my synopsis.
So you're welcome for the assist.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to do cast of characters, but normally I run this, but I'm going to be completely honest, based on my opinion of the film, I don't think I am the most appropriate person to do this. So I'm going to actually let you look on, and you can choose who you want to talk about, because, the only person we have to talk about is Brad Pitt, because he's Brad Pitt, so you can't skip that. But other than that, you can choose. There you go.
Well, there's so many. So there's Frankie Four Fingers, who is the guy who steals the diamond.
Is he?
Benicio del Toro. He's in a bunch of things. I don't know if you've seen anything. Hunted, Sicario.
He looked very familiar, but he also looked like a typical, mob type guy.
He was in Guardians of the Galaxy for a brief bit.
Who does not like Guardians of the Galaxy?
That's what I'm saying.
If you do, get off my lawn.
Then Brad Pitt obviously is Mickey the gypsy.
Yes, he is.
Or Pikey, as they call it.
The Pikey.
I fucking hate Pikeys.
Well, we've officially made it have to be censored.
Yep. Best character in the whole movie by far. It's not
and I mean, Brad Pitt's in literal everything. I don't know how you would not have seen Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he's Brad freaking Pitt. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Basically.
And he was given this role without actually having a part in the movie, and the whole script had to be rewritten to put him in this movie. Yeah,
so he reached out to Guy Ritchie because he really liked Lock, Stock, and Barrel. And
Two Smoking Barrels.
Well, I wrote down Lock, Stock, and Barrel. Why did I do that?
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Oh, I was like... anyway, he reached out because he really liked it, and he was determined to not be good enough at a British accent, yeah?
Well, no, they found out he couldn't do a British accent, so he bombed intentionally, so they had to come up with a different spot for him.
Yeah, and they basically said that the reason that he was as bad as he was that, but also the critics had a big problem with Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, that they couldn't understand the accents, so they decided this would be kind of like a ha-ha, jokes on you type
go
thing.
To hell. Yeah. We did it, and we're going to do it again, and we're going to keep doing it until you shut up about it.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So I have to insert, because everybody hates me when I do this, and I have to do it. So this is the biggest reach that I've ever had from my my connections, my so many degrees of Gilmore Girls. But, since you guys get so angry, it's going to happen. So Brad Pitt, since we're on Brad Pitt, was in Thelma and Louise, which is apparently new to you, yeah? So I guess we might have to watch it so you can see Brad Pitt. It's baby Brad Pitt.
Oh,
but
good.
Anyways, on an episode of Gilmore Girls, they reference Thelma and Louise, and basically Rory and Paris, which Paris is Rory's best friend, is talking, and they're talking about their friendship, and Paris says to Rory, "I'm sorry if you thought we had some kind of deep Thelma and Louise thing going on, but we didn't." So I had to make sure that we had a connection.
I freaking tried. Everyone listening, I am sorry. I'm just going to have to do a war movie that was made after Gilmore Girls that can't possibly be related in any way.
In fairness, Gilmore Girls has every reference you could ever think of, so I will find a way. Where there is a will, there is a way.
Listeners, please help me out and find a movie that cannot be connected to Gilmore Girls to end this.
This sounds like a challenge, and I am in. I am down. So, anyways, I wanted to do that because this is probably the only pleasurable part I will have of this podcast.
Yeah. So there's Jason Statham.
Right.
He's in a lot of things. He's in...
I think of him as that in that movie that I always talk about that I never can think of the name of, but that he is going to die the whole movie.
Crank. He's in Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious.
Basically all gangster movies.
All action movies. The Expendables. He's in... I mean, he's Jason Statham. He's the Transporter. Is the first movie I think I remember seeing. Let's see. Vinnie Jones, who apparently is famous for being a bad boy.
Okay.
Originally. So he was a bad boy soccer player, football player.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like bad boys.
No.
What you gonna do?
So he was apparently very photogenic, and he had this tough guy persona, and he transitioned to film, and he's always like a villain, always. And he missed one of the days of shooting because he was in jail for fighting. So that scene where he's tapping the gun on the glass, that's not him because he was in prison or in jail at the time.
Nice. He's really, really connecting to his part here.
Yeah. He's in a movie called The Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, we've seen that.
We've seen a trailer for it, but we have not...
No, I've seen Midnight Meat Train.
Oh, I've not seen it.
Oh, I have.
It sounds like a porno.
Oh, no, I've seen it. No, maybe I saw it with Joe. If you guys don't know who Joe is, he's been a guest twice on our podcast, I believe. So,
yes, twice. But yeah, it sounds like the dirtiest porno ever. Yeah, the rest of them are fairly minor characters. I mean, there's Jason Fleming, but he's a minor character.
So now you guys see why I usually take over characters, because Tyler is very slow
he's in From
and methodical.
Hell, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, which I don't think any of those movies you've seen. So.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to start by kind of getting it out there that we are on opposing ends of the spectrum for this one, because we used to do this a lot. At the beginning of the podcast, we were very well known for disliking or liking opposite movies.
Having strong feelings either way and fighting each other and having one of us agree that they're wrong.
Yeah. No, I loved that. I thought it was a really great dynamic we had going on, but for some reason we started agreeing. I don't know. It's just,
Okay, what's wrong with agreeing?
We started fighting with the internet. You know, it just became a thing. But anyways, we're back. Now you're on what side of this coin?
I do like this movie. I enjoy this movie.
I basically fell asleep through this movie.
Oh, God. It was painful watching this movie with her.
Right.
She was on her phone, looking away. Like, not even watching the movie, not on her phone. Like, she was so out of her mind bored.
Yes. Now, I will say, to preface, I was not in the mood to watch a film, which happens a lot with us because we end up watching these movies really late at night, and I'm not very good at focusing on TV.
Yeah, she's not a night person. She's a morning person.
Right. But
like
we've done this multiple times with movies where I haven't been in the mood, and I have gotten into the movie. So, fair to say, this movie was not my cup of tea.
Which I misjudged entirely. Can I just say that...
Yeah, so why don't you start with that? Like, what was it about the movie you thought I would like?
I thought you would love the interconnected storylines, because it goes to Love Actually and a bunch of other movies that are similar to that, but the only one that I can think of that you've seen is Love Actually.
I love Love Actually.
I know you do. And I apparently missed how you needed to connect with the characters more, and it's less about the story, it's more about connecting to the different people and wanting them all to succeed together. So I definitely missed the boat.
You missed the boat. You missed. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. You're going to miss the boat sometimes. So let's start with the things that I didn't hate. The things that I actually enjoyed about the movie. Okay? So the score of the movie. We don't talk about score a lot because we don't... I mean, you're tone deaf. And yes, I don't really care usually. It's kind of like, you know...
It's generally it added to the movie. It didn't hurt it, or it made it absolutely unwatchable.
Right, yeah.
So it's either positive or just so negative that it's awful. But this movie was actually a bright spot for the music.
It absolutely was. I mean, even the beginning part where...
they're introducing the characters, and it's kind of...
Yeah. It's almost like cartoonish, comic booky.
Comic booky, or just like action movie or old Batman style.
Yeah.
TV.
Wow, Pam.
Yeah, exactly.
That whole thing. But yeah, every time the music came on, like I knew the vibe of what scene we were going into just by the way it was presented, and I love that in films. I think that's just a really great touch, and that they spent the time to do that. So now the original score was by John Murphy.
Yes, all the original pieces are by John Murphy. There are cuts from other artists, including Madonna.
The $1 million Madonna song.
$1 million Madonna song. Which, if Guy Ritchie was married to her, couldn't he have gotten a discount?
I don't know if he married her before or after this film. I'm not sure. They got divorced in 2008. I don't know exactly when the marriage happened, but...
But if they were married for this, she got paid.
Yeah, well, she did get paid, and apparently their divorce was epic proportions, the biggest settlement, and then they had to go private about it, so nobody knows for sure. But
You are so addicted to drama. You really are.
What are you talking about? I'm not talking about.
Their divorce was private, like a normal divorce should be. And you're just wanting all the details.
Of course I want that tea.
Oh, God. We're so different on that. I don't care.
Oh, see, I sit at home all day. I need some tea.
All right. So, yeah, the music was great.
Yes. The other thing that I didn't hate about this film was the cinematography.
Yes. I loved a lot of the... It's not really a jump cut, but it's a choppy cut between the different scenes. It's almost the random and chaotic nature of real life.
Yeah, and it's also the way it moves around their face or their body to kind of like give that, again, like that Batman-ish like angle. Like, I found that really interesting in the way they did that. It wasn't just like a regular like following them around. There was a lot of cuts and a lot of like, I don't know, really cool.
There's a lot of dialogue and it lent to more action in the movie than there actually is in the movie. Mm-hmm. Because they're sitting around talking to other people. That doesn't really go very well on film. But if they move the camera around and do that, it just adds to the aesthetic.
So, does it add more action? Because, like, okay, so, like, you haven't seen this movie yet, but we should do it and see how you feel. Because Clerks is a movie where literally they sit around and talk the whole time. Yeah. Now, I adore Clerks. Like, I am, like, hardcore in, right? But I got bored in this movie, and there's, I promise you, no jump cuts, no fancy cinematography in Clerks. So I'm curious, like, what is the appeal of one versus the other when it comes to...
I think for you, it's the story. It's the connecting to the people and having actual cares about what's going on in the movie.
I mean, fair, but I think it would be interesting to compare and contrast in that aspect.
I mean, the other part of this movie that I love is the boxing scenes, the shots of Brad Pitt getting his face beaten in, where he's up in the air and
just boom, exactly, like slow-mo,
slow motion.
Now, was his boxing scenes better in this or Fight Club?
Better in Fight Club, I think.
See, I think the shots, the cinematography was better in this. I really enjoyed like the way they hit the face and like the way they showed it so slow and all that. But I'm sorry, Fight Club.
Fight Club is Fight Club. I'm sorry. Right. You are right there. The shots are better in this movie, but the actual fighting is better in Fight Club.
Yeah, I mean.
And, I mean, he's at his mother's wake in this movie, and it's that crazy fast pace that I think they sped up the camera or something. Like, there was just chaos.
Well, it's supposed to kind of make you feel a little bit more, like, intense. Yeah. I mean, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. Okay. So let's start moving into, not stuff I hate yet. We're not there yet. But questionable things, right? So one of the things that the internet says could be a reason that people might not like this film is British humor.
Yes. So British humor is notoriously dry and quick-witted, oftentimes, which I thought was great in this movie in pieces, but there was also just kind of random things thrown in there. Yes.
So I will say, as a personal preference, I am not against British humor. I mean, we watch British TV shows, and I'm for them. Like, I like British comedians. Like, I'm not against British humor. So I don't think necessarily it's that. However, there is Dumb and Dumber style humor in this, and I think that what happened, this is my guess, is that I heard that and I turned off. Like, the rest of it didn't even click, didn't register, didn't come through, because the Dumb and Dumber style humor was like, no, this isn't for me. I'm not doing this. I'm not spending brain power on this.
Well, there was a couple of scenes where they're just that classic British sketch humor type thing where it came from reverse. If you're backing up, it's going to come from behind you.
Right.
Or there's no money at the bookies. They're robbing an empty bookies.
Right.
Like, there's just that.
See, it was stupid, though. There was a lot of dumb things where I was just like, why am I laughing again? Like, oh, why do you call him the guy who dodges bullets or whatever? Because he dodges bullets. And I'm like, that's the stupid. Like, why is that funny? You were laughing. Or like when the dog ate the chew toy and then he started squeaking after. I'm like, this isn't funny. This is just dumb. Like, what?
Well, it's just the squeak toy was a foreshadowing of the diamond, obviously.
Well, obviously, but it wasn't funny.
I found it funnier when I was watching other scenes like the robbery and other things. I mean, one of my favorite scenes is where they're interviewing Vinnie Jones, and he's like, "You can call me Susan if that makes you feel better."
Okay, that part was a little bit funny, but like, I was already so done that it was kind of like a
Yeah.
I just that kind of funny.
I don't know. I just enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it the first time. It was less funny watching it the second time. I will give you.
I think it was also less funny because you weren't with somebody laughing. So I think that makes it a little bit harder to get into something is when the other person is not enjoying it. I think that does.
Well, it does tamp it down. It's also the lack of the first time and the surprise of it. It just...
I think a lot of these action films have that, though, where like at the first time you're like, oh my God, so cool. And then you're kind of like, oh yeah.
It's a good movie still, but it's not the same experience.
Right. No, so I don't think it would. Okay. So one of the things you said brought you to this film thinking I would like it was the interconnectedness. You thought that I would enjoy that because of Love Actually. So looking at it now, do you think there are differences between the interconnectedness that you see that might be the reason that this didn't pan out the way you thought?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of moving pieces in this movie, and I think Guy Ritchie is well known for this type of style where he just it's fast. All things are going at the same time. There's multiple different things jumping over each other, which I very much enjoy. That's kind of the movie that I want to watch. I don't want to watch one slow narrative of something. I want to watch a lot of things moving together because that's life. That's reality. It's going on. Life is complex. Life is messy. Life is often connected in strange and weird ways that we don't even realize. And I find it enjoyable.
I was listening to you talk, and I was thinking, and it's funny because I almost think this might come down to the way we think and the way we relax. So what I'm thinking in my head right now is, so my brain works 1,000 different things, one at a time, interconnected, always going. There's a billion things happening. Yeah.
Yep.
Your brain is very, I want to go to bed right now, or I like to play Mario Kart. I feel like doing that right now. Like, that's you. Like, and there's nothing wrong with either way. Like, there's nothing wrong, but you're very straight.
We do think things differently. We do have different ways about going things. I think that's entirely fine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with either one, but I'm wondering if that when we want to unwind or enjoy something or look for entertainment, we're looking for almost like the opposite of us, to take us out of our own brain. So I'm looking for that deep getting into that narrative, that I'm really like getting to know something, one topic fully and completely, and I'm really looking for that.
Invested in
and getting invested in it. Yeah, so I can take my million different thoughts and tone it down to one. Where you're like, no, I want to be entertained. I want like all those different things to kind of get me like involved and get me thinking. Because that's the opposite of you.
I think that's entirely fair, because a lot of my favorite books are that same way, where there's a lot of various plot interconnectedness, whether it's Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones.
And all of which, I've not seen Game of Thrones, but Lord of the Rings I wasn't super into. I found it boring. Again.
Redwall, even as a children's book.
I read that and found it boring.
Yeah. So I just think it's how we process things differently.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's interesting to think of it that way because it's like we want the opposite of what we are as people.
And that's the same thing that drew me to Love Actually and made that comparison. I missed the mark because it is subtly different.
Yes.
It's not exactly the same type of movie.
Yeah, so I do want to kind of speak to that a little bit just because that's the reason you came to this movie. Yeah. But what I see as the major difference is in Love Actually, now not all characters, but some of the characters you really do get to connect to. You can create a relationship with. And part of that, and I think, is because they're relatable. Like what they're going through is relatable. So you don't need a lot of backstory because you can put yourself in there. Like, okay, somebody has a relationship with their boss, or somebody has a relationship with somebody that they can't communicate with well or whatever. But like you can easily insert yourself into that and kind of understand without really needing a lot of information.
Well, I think it's also a lot of pacing difference too, because this is a go movie. Love Actually has a more measured pace where you spend more time with each group of people.
You do. And there's also more plot in Love Actually. So there's more things actually happening, where in this film, it's literally you're following a diamond, and then because you're following said diamond, you end up at a boxing match of somebody who is miraculously so good at boxing that he punches somebody out with one punch, but you never know what his backstory is, why he's so amazing, what
They tell you that he's a gypsy bare knuckle boxing champion.
Yeah, but they don't explain like okay, this dude is a little dude. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen Brad Pitt in this movie. He's a little ass dude, and they don't really explain like, was he just a savant? Like, did he just did he train for 20 years? Like, what?
Oh, I think the point behind the gypsy bare knuckle boxing champion is to point out the next line, which means he's as tough as a coffin nail, because gypsies don't play by normal rules. So it's kind of like if he's the champion of the gypsies, he's going to murder everybody.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe it's again something where it's not something I relate to at all. Okay. So there's not a lot of like ways for me. Like, he's my favorite character for sure. Like, I mean, he's yours, right?
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely. There's no contest here. I mean, he's the best character in this movie, mostly because you can't understand a damn thing that he says for the entire movie.
And that honestly didn't bother me. Like, I thought it would bother me because I do get really irritated if I can't understand people. Like, that's like a pet peeve. But it didn't really bother me with him because I understood him when I had to. And then when I didn't have to, it wasn't really relevant because neither did the characters.
Well, exactly.
So it was like, okay, they didn't know what he said either, so I guess I don't need to know.
Yeah.
So moving on, kind of thing. But anyway, so I guess we kind of talked about the interconnectedness.
Yeah,
we did that.
I think we talked it to death. We tied it all together. Yeah.
Yeah, look at us go making it all
a cohesive, somewhat cohesive story.
Yeah, I'm really proud of us. Okay, so we're going to have to talk about dog violence. Now,
yes.
If y'all have been listening to our podcast for a long time, you'll know that dog violence trumps people violence in my world and probably in yours.
Oh, I mean, it's a visceral thing. And I think the main part of that is because dogs, for the most part, can't defend themselves like a person can. Mm-hmm. And so they are more innocent and more susceptible to horrible things.
Right. I mean, I'll agree with that.
And they're more vulnerable. I mean, that scene where there's the dog fighting pit and the dog lying bloody on the floor, that was more jarring to me than any other scene in this movie. And it's not even close.
Right.
I mean, there's the guys being put in the body bags and about to be hacked up. No, that's fine. Whatever. There's the whole chopping a hand off and carrying it out of the building. Well, whatever. The dog? No. The dog is not okay.
No. And I mean, so I will say the violence in this movie is really minimal. Yeah. Most of the deaths take place off scene. And it really, they make it so humorous that you kind of, don't care. And also, again, you don't connect to the characters. So you don't really care. It's kind of like, okay, we're watching that kind of movie.
Yeah.
But when they do the dog part, and there's even a part where they're, talking about cutting the dog open for diamonds or whatever. And they end up not doing it. Thank you, God. But they talk about that. And, literally my heart and stomach was I don't even like this movie, and I am watching, if that happens, I'm storming out. If that dog had been cut open, that would have been the end, and you would have had to tell them what the end of the movie was, because nah.
I mean, one of the scenes is that the guy that was being asked to do that, he's like, what are you talking about? No, I'm not going to cut up a dog. It's a dog. No.
Right. I mean, because, I'm a monster, but I'm not that kind of monster.
No, I'll kill people for you. I will do horrible things to people. That's fine. But it's a dog.
Right. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I get that. So, I mean, they did say that the reason that Bricktop was doing that was because Guy Ritchie had met a man in Brazil, and he had said that the most hated person on screen would be somebody who was part of dog violence. So he wanted to do something that really made you hate him. Yeah. And now Bricktop was a very hateable character. I mean, there was nothing likable about him. He had a punchable face. His voice was horrible. Those glasses, gave him that, He had
no ability to actually do any of the things himself. He relied on all other people.
Right. He was one of those guys who was, super geeky, super nerdy, and you knew he ran people because he had money. Right. That was... Well,
I also find it ironic that Alan Ford, the actor for Bricktop, is actually a vegetarian and also an animal rights activist.
I know, wow, you played that part. You did that.
That probably killed him so much to fictionally zap a dog with a taser.
Right. Now, I will say, just in case anybody was wondering, one of the dogs used on the film was not a friendly dog, and one of the actors actually got bit in the crotch, and they had to replace the dog with a new dog.
That actor had the worst groin-related shooting on this movie. Not only did he get bit by a dog in the groin, he also, when he was robbing the bookkeeper and shooting the shotgun, it recoiled into his groin.
Oh, see, I read both trivia pieces, but I didn't put it together with the same actor.
It was the same actor, so he got the unholy double shot.
So his balls will never forget this movie.
Oh, God, no.
Basically. But yeah, so I mean, I wanted to bring it up just because dog violence is never okay. And, like...
I mean, that's... Every movie we've done that you've had dog violence, we've had this PSA.
Well, I have to. I can't... I mean, my dog is literally to my right now, and, like, that's my first thought. Is, like, if anyone did anything like that to her...
You're breaking out the I'm going to skin you alive knives.
Oh, yeah.
And then light you on fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mickey was our favorite character.
Yeah.
And I think he does give a good, like, kind of like moral of the story, don't judge a book by its cover type thing for this movie, which I can fuck with, you know?
I can totally support that because it is a almost overtly racist, I fucking hate Pikes. Every single character across this entire movie hates the gypsies. And he's the one that wins in the end. I mean, he does lose because his mother died, but, I mean, he still gets his revenge at the end, so...
Okay, but is revenge trumping mother dying? I mean, I hope your mom doesn't listen to this podcast if you say yes.
I'm not saying yes, but, I mean, what else can you do at that point other than get your revenge?
Well, right. I mean, at that point, there is nothing left to be done. You can't unkill somebody.
You have to live in the world that was made for you at that point, and you have to write things as best you can.
I mean, that was the one part of the movie where I felt myself actually wanting to pay attention because that was the only part where I was able to connect at all. I mean, we got to see his mom die. We didn't really see how close he was to his mom, but you could assume that he was kind of close just because she was advocating.
Trying to get her a caravan for the whole movie. Like,
well, right. And she was advocating for him when they were talking. So, like, you could kind of... So when she died and you were kind of like, but why? There was no reason for that. Like, you did that out of the blue. I could kind of be like, okay, yeah, I want him to get his revenge. Like, I don't like this movie, but, like, somebody better die for that.
Out of the blue? Periwinkle blue?
You had to go there?
I did.
Okay. Well, I mean, thank you, Norman Bates.
So it was a throwback to Norman Bates, where Norman Bates killed his mother after buying her a periwinkle blue item, and then he also, Brad Pitt.
Which you have not even seen the Vince Vaughn version of Psycho. Have you seen the OG?
Yeah, of course I have. I love Alfred Hitchcock. I've seen a lot of his movies.
Well, we have to get you to see the Vince Vaughn version because the internet will hate us, and I am for it, so we can get it off of each other, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make that. I'll make that deal.
Okay, sounds good. I'm glad we did that. So, anyway, I really didn't enjoy this film, so I don't have much else to kind of go into, but if there are pieces you want to talk about, I know this is a really cult classic film and really loved. I could tell by the internet's response. I mean, Reddit. Y'all didn't have one negative thing about this movie. Not one. So...
I mean...
Did you see the thing I sent you, by the way, about this film?
I don't think I did. What was the thing?
So, I'm going to do the annoying thing that I do, that I say, recently we've been watching, but we just started watching Mandalorian.
Yep.
And while I was researching this film, I came across Snatch Wars, which is Star Wars and this movie put together. Like, there's voiceover from this movie and then Star Wars, and it's like Star Wars like actual clips.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to watch that.
It's funny as heck. Like, I enjoyed that more than I enjoyed this movie.
I mean, there were so many great one-liners in this. Mary fucking Poppins. Call me Susan if it makes you happy. Just so...
No, go on. I enjoy, like, listening to things you think are funny that aren't.
Do you know what Nemesis... It's not funny. They're just great one-liners. Do you know what Nemesis means? And then he says, an awful...
Go ahead, say it.
I'm not saying that one.
You won't.
I'm not. It was just such a quotable movie, and it is, to me, the quintessential guy movie, which is why Reddit loves it, and why the internet loves it.
I guess I'm not a dude.
Yeah,
I lost my dude card.
Yeah.
I feel so depressed. I hope that our listeners still want to listen, even though I have now committed the ultimate, like,
or who's
film
gonna rob
suicide.
two black guys sitting in a car with guns? Like, just...
Yikes, that doesn't age well.
Or that's the guy with 4 fingers and a suitcase or briefcase. Like, it's great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, we're all gonna like different movies, so I will ask you guys if you have other films that you think are like this that Tyler would enjoy. I will probably be drowning in misery, but he really does enjoy this type of film, and he would be really happy to get your suggestions, so I will do that. So if you guys feel like torturing me, which you don't usually, and I love you for that, but you might be really mad at me after this episode and want to. So, I'm going to put that plea out there for Tyler and, maybe try to pretend like it didn't happen, and hope you guys forget. Yeah.
All right, so where do we go now?
Well, I think you might have a history minute.
I have a few history minutes.
Tyler's History Minute.
Of course you do. Every time you like a movie, you are on it.
Well, this is not really a historical movie, to be fair.
But you still figured it out, didn't you?
I found a few.
Of course you did.
So, the first was the fight at the end where he gets knocked out, where Brad Pitt knocks out a guy with one punch after getting headbutted and checking for blood. Actually happened in illegal boxing in England to a person from one of the other Guy Ritchie movies, Lenny the Governor McLean. And so he got headbutted and he just knocked the hell out of the guy. And if you see this other movie and you look at this guy, he's like 60 now, but you're like, damn. Nope. Not
Brick House?
Oh, yeah, he's huge. He's like 6'4" and 300 pounds.
Yikes.
So there's that. They do mention Bomber Harris in that same fight, which is the nickname for Arthur Harris, chief of the RAF Bomber Command during World War II, which the RAF was hounded by the Luftwaffe for the most of the war, where they were undermanned and under-equipped and fighting off a superior force the best they could. So yeah, that's basically the London Blitz in a nutshell.
Okay.
Then there was one of the main characters in the movie, Jason Statham's character, his name is Turkish, which I found a little bit ironic given that the Turks fought the British during World War I. And tied to a different movie with Winston Churchill that we've done for the podcast, Darkest Hour. Mm-hmm. So Winston Churchill was responsible for a failed landing at Gallipoli against the Ottoman Turks during World War I. And did
you have to look this up, or did you just know?
I knew that one.
Of course
it's mentioned in Epic Rap Battles of History.
Oh, okay.
Winston Churchill versus Teddy Roosevelt.
You know what episode?
Yeah.
Okay, well, okay.
I do. Lastly, this is more recent history, I looked up the largest diamond heist in history, which was in Antwerp, coincidentally, which is where I think the diamond comes from. And it was in February of 2003. They made off with $100 million worth of diamond and gold and jewelry. $100 million. And it was in a vault that had a camera on the outside with a 100 million combination lock, a custom key on the door, a magnetic seal on the safe wall, an iron grate inside.
Oh my gosh.
A light sensor so that if you opened the safe door, it would automatically trigger an alarm if the magnetic seal didn't go off.
How the heck did they do this? Did they have an insider?
A heat sensor in the vault, so it would tell if there were people in the room that weren't supposed to be there.
And they pulled it off.
They pulled it off. They built a replica of the vault, practiced, and they did all of this while all of the lights were turned off, basically blindfolded by memory.
Wow. Did they have an insider with them? Like that could
in the building, they did have an insider. The person rented an office in the same building for a few years beforehand, just to establish a relationship with the people in the building and get an access card so you get into the building. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of a James Bond-esque style or Mission Impossible type heist.
Apparently, I'm impressed.
So yeah,
they need to do a movie about that.
They should. Would be fantastic.
So if that movie exists, let me know.
Yeah. So those are my history minutes. That's all I got.
Well, that's a lot for you.
Yeah.
Lately, they've been a little anemic, so I'm really proud of you.
I stretched for this movie because
I stretch for most movies because I enjoy your history minute, as do most of our listeners.
Yeah. All right. So where are we going now? Audience asks.
So we have some audience asks. We don't have a ton, but we do have a few.
Audience asks.
So this one's a little bit, squeamish for my lady sensibilities. So I'm going to pass it to you,
Great.
So It's Your Pick says, the viability of porcine body disposal. Will a pig actually go through bone like butter?
Pigs are omnivorous, and yes, they will eat meat.
Bone?
Oh, yeah. There's a scene in, I think it's either Hannibal or one of the Silence of the Lamb sequels where a guy goes into a pig boar pit and gets eaten alive. So yeah, the answer is yes, they will.
So whoever did the murder in Making a Murderer just needed a pig around on their little, like, whatever you call their little land lots there, and then we wouldn't have had the whole bone.
Yeah, if you ran a pig farm, you can get rid of a body. I mean, I would generally still go with going to a cemetery and digging into a fresh grave and then burying it there.
Yes, guys. He has actually mapped out, if he were to kill somebody, where he would put the body, and he has talked about it not once, not twice, not 3 times, but probably over 10. So be worried.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say there.
Thank you for that.
Well, you just announced what it was going to be. So if anybody finds a body underneath a casket, they're going to be like, I think I heard that on a podcast once.
Oh, great.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I know you love Stork, so I figured, we haven't talked about him in a while. He hasn't made it into Audience Ask section in a while, so...
he just made it into the Gilmore Girls section of each one of the episodes because he hates it.
But I want your bromance to blossom. So, he said, what is the most confusing British accent?
That's got to be Brad Pitt's.
Does that count as British accent because it's a pikey? And somebody said, I read the reviews that they said that was actually Irish.
It was kind of an offshoot. Like he mashed a whole bunch of things together because he's American.
Right.
If we're not going with his accent, I'm going to go with the Cockney accent.
Which
they have a lot
one?
of. Well, it's all of the weird slang. Vinny.
Now, is Cockney from? Okay, like we watched the show. Would I Lie to You? And they always say the damn
EastEnders.
They always say like the damn Cockneys. One of these actors was from EastEnders, by the way. But is it Cockneys that they're always making fun of?
Chavs.
Is it chavs?
Yeah,
damn, I knew it was a
but
C
it's
word.
both. They're both basically our version of white trash, and they have all this kind of slang that you can't understand.
Okay, so the Cockney accent you would say is the most confusing. See, I didn't really find, other than Mickey, I didn't really find the accents confusing.
It wasn't too bad in this movie, no. But I mean,
is there confusing accents? Absolutely. Like when we watch these shows, I mean, guests and stuff come on, and there are people that speak, and you're just like,
that's not even English.
Was any of that English?
No.
Like, I don't even think any of it was. No. So, but I think it's Cockney that usually gets me.
Cockney, chav, anything that has weird slang that is not broadcast to everyone else.
Right.
Is really hard to follow.
Yeah.
Where he's saying something about, we have to go talk to this guy about the thing, and then he had to explain it halfway through this movie.
Yeah, I was just actually thinking, our favorite YouTubers are British, and I don't even think of them as having a British accent.
They definitely do. They definitely do.
But, like, I must have gotten really... So we're kind of in the British, like, accent, like, in that zone. We watch them every week, and we watch those shows often. So we might be the wrong people to ask, because we're really in it. Also, one of my favorite shows is Couplings. So. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, it wasn't too bad in this movie, other than Brad Pitt's atrocious Irish accent.
Yeah.
But that was intentional, so we give him a pass.
Right. So basically, Stork, we're not answering your question at all because we don't know. Is what we're coming down to.
I said Cockney or Chav or anything that is just hard to understand.
Yeah. I hope that was an acceptable answer.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you look up the reviews? Because I actually did look up a few of them.
Reviews.
I did. So Rotten Tomatoes has it at 73%. Audience score of 93%.
Wow.
So the audience is well more into this movie than the film critics, which I actually found a little bit surprising given the cinematography and the score. But I was going to give it an 8.75 because I really enjoyed this movie.
Okay.
Okay,
so I really don't like doing this, but I was going through like the reviews because on Reddit, people were saying that the critics really took this movie down for the lack of character development, which is obviously what I said the entire time of the movie. So I was like, okay, I want to like find somebody that agrees with me. Now I couldn't find that, but I did find somebody called Kevin LaForest from Montreal Film Journal, and he said, this has all the Tarantino trademarks, basically, except that it's not nearly as enjoyable, inventive, or clever. And honestly, I agree with that. Because I got a very Tarantino vibe throughout this movie, and I love Tarantino films. Like, I really enjoy Tarantino films. But it was like that, like, buildup of, like, excitement, like, it's going to be this Tarantino great thing. And then none of it. None of the funny stuff, none of, like, that really clever, like, witty, like, whatever that I really go for. So, like, that really kind of, like, sums up how I feel about this film. So I wanted to kind of, like, put that out there. That's a critic that said it. It wasn't me.
All right, get to your review already.
I'm giving it a 5, okay? Oof. So, and the only reason it gets a 5 is because Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt, and I love him more than anything in the world. And the cinematography and the score. The plot alone, 2. Like, I mean, there was nothing there. Nothing happened. I mean, we literally just followed a diamond. Like, I was bored. Like, I would have gone to sleep.
All right. So
yeah, so I'm sorry, guys. I think this might be the lowest I've ever rated a film, and I'm really sorry, but I'm not.
Is this your least favorite movie we've done for the podcast?
I mean, least favorite in recent memory, although I do have, like, a gnawing in the back of my head that reminds me of the pretty girl that lives in the house or something.
Oh, that was terrible as well.
Yeah, so I don't really remember what I rated that. It was a really long time ago, but this is definitely competing, for sure.
Yeah. It's your version of Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry because I know this movie is really well loved and, like, I respect that, but it's not for me.
All right.
So, but next week,
you're excited.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, so I've been jamming for this movie,
guys. She's been talking about this movie for the last 4 months.
Right. Now, in fairness, we have not seen it yet, so we could come back and we could hate it. But the next movie is going to be my choice, and it's Invisible Man. Yep. It is in theaters. We're going to probably go see it, like, tomorrow. Yeah. Like, I'm down. But yeah, it's about a girl who is basically being, I guess, stalked by her dead boyfriend, or that's what the trailers make it seem like.
Her dead, invisible boyfriend that is not actually dead and just invisible.
Yes. So we have not seen it yet. We don't know. But I'm excited for it. So if you want to see a movie that I really enjoy, come back for that episode because I think I'm going to like it. But yeah, so if you want to talk to us outside the podcast, if you want to yell at me for my horrible views, you want to side with Tyler or find reasons to make fun of Tyler since you guys seem to enjoy that.
Half of our viewers would rather light themselves on fire than agree with me, which...
Yeah, so you don't have to do that. You can just, make fun of him for picking a bad movie for his wife. So there you go.
But it's a good movie.
Yeah. Anyway, so at Cinematically C on Twitter, you can find me. He's blamed Tyler CC. He will respond, but you're better off to tag me in it to
prompt a response. Otherwise, I'll probably ignore it and not even see it.
Yeah, and I don't really do a good job of checking his Twitter, so tag me. If you want to email us because you don't want it public and you don't want to be like, hey, I really agreed with Tyler, I totally understand. cinematicallycorrect@gmail.com. You can do that. We have Facebook. Somebody recently just liked our Facebook page. I don't recognize your name, but if you want to say hello, I'm so excited that we're getting new.
Didn't you just have a friend that wanted to join the Facebook page?
Oh, I forgot. I didn't even allow him to join. Yes, one of my best friends actually just started binging us. Oh, I should actually allow him to join the page, huh?
You should.
I just kind of left him in limbo.
Nick, it's not my fault.
Yes, so anyway, but yeah, so this has been really exciting. We've had a lot of really great people the last few weeks, a lot of great reviews. So if you guys want to keep leaving reviews, reaching out to us, it means the world to me and keeps me going.
It does give us that shot in the arm kind of pep talk kind of feeling where we can keep going on, and we enjoy doing this, but it's an added. It
really is. And I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me in this episode, and I actually enjoy like talking about both sides of arguments. So I'm totally for you coming and tweeting at me and telling me you're totally wrong. Like, this is the best character development I've ever seen. Like, do it. Go for it. I'm in. He's shaking his head no, but I enjoy that. So if you want to email, Twitter, we're totally interested. Anyway, thank you to Jake at Athos Music for our intro and outro music, and we will be back next week with Invisible Man.
Thank you for listening.